Very special day of the week, and it's June 14th, 2020. You're welcome to Market Review, where we look at the financial and capital market as it relates to the economy. And Nigerians always want to know what's really happening with the markets. And yes, today we'll be looking at a very critical trade group in the markets, the Association of Securities Dealing Houses of Nigeria, ASHON. Prior to now, they were known as the Association of Stock Broking Houses of Nigeria. They are looking at the broader level of the capital market ecosystem, and it's nice to engage them on this new plan and the prospects for Nigeria's capital market development amidst this unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic phase we are in. With me to lead this conversation is the Vice Chairman of ASHON, Mr. Sam Onukwue. Good morning and nice to have you on the program.
Good morning, and nice to be here.
Yeah, just in a minute, just tell us your experience. I mean, what is the new normal? What has been your experience? Initial full lockdown, now is being eased. How has it shaped your perspective as a securities dealing member?
Yeah, we obviously the situation took every one of us by surprise. That the market we had to make some adjustments. But yes. The good thing for us is that the Nigerian Stock Exchange, had a long-term vision of the market and started early enough, way back in 2015, to start to re-engineer the process. And today even before the COVID-19 breakouts, we were already doing our transactions outside of the floor, largely outside of the floor. So it didn't really affect our business as much because we had the opportunity of trading from wherever we were electronically.
Yeah. And prior to the full lockdown, one of the biggest developments in the market was the demutualization process of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. We had a court ordered meeting, the extraordinary general meeting, which held prior to the lockdown. And then moving on, the court gave its own orders. And of course, it is now gradually evolving. So for you, what is the update so far on the NSE mutualization, and how are the ASHON members bracing up? I know that there have been talks about possible mergers if it's really necessary, but yes, some people may look at merging. How has it been in terms of the prospects of deepening the market?
Okay, the market, we are, for the demutualization, we are at the tail end of the process. Yeah. Very long and complex process. And
was gradually coming to that tail end. That's why it was complex.
We are indeed at the tail end because all the necessary things, all that were necessary to be done have been done. And they're just doing some housekeeping, which will now ultimately lead to the final conclusion of the demutualization process. Yeah. Bearing the disruption caused by the outbreak of COVID-19, I'm sure that process would have been completed by now. But I hope with the gradual resumption of activities, it's expected that what remains of the process will be completed soonest. With regards to the prospect of deepening the market, we as brokers welcome the prospect, welcome the demutualization process, because what has really happened is that with the decoupling of membership of the exchange from the ownership of the exchange, the exchange has opportunity, of improving its governance standards, be able to benchmark international best practices. And there is also the opportunity, the exchange has the opportunity of accessing capital from local and foreign investors, to deploy the best technology and diversify its product offerings. We believe that all of this will ultimately help to deepen the market. As for our members, you asked how we position. We are looking at our position post demutualization. Yeah, you asked whether there will be mergers, and mergers are not supposed to be induced.
Yes,
they are to be driven by market
necessity. To demand it. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think our members are not. They are not supposed to coming together as long as they can find the best fit. But it's not in reducing the number. There must be some synergy. There must be some benefits of doing so. And then we're positioning, we're looking at what becomes of us after the demutualization.
Yeah. Very, very important. And I understand your point clearly. The synergy is very important. It must be necessitated, not induced. And definitely it's for the better of the market. And looking at it, because prior to when Mr. Emeka Madubuike was chairman of ASHON, I used to, in covering the market, wonder, are we not going to look at deepening your scope? Because that name, that time of Association of Stockbroking Houses, when we now had a new ecosystem evolving with the FMD Securities Exchange, which we covered its launch in 2013, and that same year, the NSE OTC markets coming on board too, we were like, is ASHON not looking at deepening its scope? But of course, recently we've now seen that with your rebranding as the Association of Securities Dealing Houses of Nigeria, you're now looking at spreading your scope to those markets, which is very, very well received. But take us through that resolve to now deepen the scope and even the capacity building process to begin to evolve to serve in other markets. How is this new charge going to address those areas?
Okay, the reality for us in the market is that as operators, and even the market has not fully, equity segment of the market has not fully recovered from the impact of the
2008-2009 crisis.
Global crisis. The market has not fully recovered from that. The result of that to us, as to our members, is that our members have been struggling to cope with increased cost of doing business. And so in recognition of the implication of operating a single product entity, the Council of ASHON resolved to engage with the emerging exchanges. You have seen in 2003, FMDQ was incorporated, was launched.
Yes.
And they were essentially doing money market instruments. Today, they've veered into fixed income, which we think that we also have strength in those areas. We of course have had our own, the one promoted by our own members, some brokers by the NSD. We also saw an opportunity in the commodities space.
Is Lagos Commodities?
I decided to mobilize our members to promote the Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. As our own modest contribution to government's efforts in developing the commodity space, as well as to create opportunities for business sustainability for our members. So the whole essence for us, we have been, is to create opportunity for our members to enhance their earning capacity, and of course move away from this one product, diversify our operations to other products. Let me say very clearly that for as long as these exchanges are registered by SEC, we are well positioned as brokers to deal on any of the exchanges.
Just give us further insight on the Lagos Commodities Futures Exchange. I mean, that's a unique initiative, because when we look at the commodities exchanges, the most functional is the FX, which is the private commodity exchange, and it's been doing its best, but you want to deepen that space. Give us further insight into what's really happening in making this really happen.
Yes, we got the Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange was registered last year, about this time last year by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And the exchange has been putting all the necessary building blocks together. We're about to launch when the COVID-19 emerged in the scene, and we couldn't launch immediately. But we're almost ready to open our doors. So we're already doing a few things to get to the market. So very soon, the LCFE we go live.
Oh, but that's nice to hear, because that will, like I said, bring more life to the Commodities Exchange market. But in terms of interactions with the emerging exchanges, FMD Security Exchange and the NSD, how has it been so far? And what is the timeline in terms of seeing you begin to operate in those spaces? Because that will really deepen again the ecosystem.
Yeah, for FMDQ, we're already dealing on NSD, okay. And some of our members are also playing on the FX platform. But for FMDQ, we are ASHON Council engaged with them to find, to develop a structure for our members to come into that market. We have done quite some work. A lot of work has been done in that respect. Yeah. And we have defined the roadmap. And so we're also putting finishing touches to it. We believe that within the third quarter, it's possible that we have our members also play on that platform. Already, some of our members are already there outside of the particular space we are trying to create, so as to bring in a lot more members into that market.
Okay. So, yeah. So we can say that your target is by third quarter of 2020.
Third quarter, yes.
Full activities, that's your members going full scale in the FMDQ and the NSD.
Yeah. Yes. NSD, we're already there. We've been there from day one.
Been there much, okay.
Yes, we've been there from day one.
In terms of the Lagos Commodities Exchange, what's the timeline in terms of full operations? Are you looking at third quarter or fourth quarter of 2020?
Bearing a few delays from that we have encountered, not from the internal workings, but the regulatory approvals that we've been waiting for. I think we should be able to start between now and end of this third quarter as well. Once that is out, if it comes out today, we're likely to launch out in the next week or two. We're ready to go.
Okay, you're ready to go. So regulatory approvals is key. So I hope that will be one of the first approvals from the new Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Mr. Lamido.
Yeah.
Yes. But let's look at, of course, the activities globally. The global supply chain disruptions has really affected companies, including listed entities in the equities market. How is this impacting operations, and what are you seeing in this regard in terms of the implications it will have on the valuations of these listed entities in the equities markets?
Well, there's no doubt that the COVID-19 pandemic has significantly disrupted the global supply chain, which has also caused severe macroeconomic distortions globally. There is also no doubt that operations of most listed companies have been affected by this development. But the reality is that even prior to the advent of the pandemic, most companies with strong fundamentals were trading below book values and even par values. So again, because of macroeconomic distortions. So we believe that there is an opportunity now for investors to take advantage of the low valuations, to take a long-term view of the market and take some long-term position. as well. So it's an opportunity for new entrants into the market. It's an opportunity for people to play the market, take long-term position in the market, and expect, of course, that when this is over, I mean, we expect that the market will get stronger over time.
Yeah, I mean, there are talks of massive sell-offs that will occur in July and even down to August in equities, but it is still an opportunity for the long-term investors, those that are investing for long-term, to assess the markets.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean,
Quite
you know, the massive sell down may have been prompted by different factors, depending on the disposition of investors. Yeah.
Let me just take a bit on the current developments. This is something I guess you would like to make one or two, just a few inputs on. When you look at the current FX regime, the FX markets, and your members trade on the FX space for the markets, the current adjustment, the current move by the Central Bank of Nigeria to unified rates, how do you see that impacting the market, particularly the fact that we have foreign portfolio investors dominant in a capital importation over the years, and this is again comes to the fore because they are concerned about a foreign exchange regime and stability.
Let me make a bit of correction here. Members don't they don't trade FX here, but it has significant changes we've seen in, or the movement we've seen in exchange rates has very significant impact on our market, especially with regards to the foreign investors. The uncertainty we have seen and the very wide margins we have seen over time, the existence of the multiple exchange rate regime has created a lot of uncertainty in the minds of investors, especially our foreign investors. So we hope that the CBN is making efforts to reduce the level of this uncertainty, either by having a stable exchange rate regime, given that the resources are there to build up the reserve to that level that we have a stable exchange rate regime. If that happens, and if people can predict the movement of exchange rates, I think we'll have the FDIs, return to our market, because I think there is significant low valuation in the market that they can take advantage of.
I think that correction you said about members trading on FX, but let's look at the advocacy. As a trade group, you also carry advocacy, and part of the things you've been pushing for is the government leveraging the capital markets to liberalize state-owned enterprises. Big elephants in the room like the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, and even Nigerian liquefied natural gas companies like that. How is this advocacy going on? Because as you continue to push, definitely will come to that point, it happens.
Yeah,
you're not deterred or you're not discouraged despite the advocacy.
We are not. It has even become more urgent now than ever before. We gather that government wants to do a lot of privatization this year, and they have set out to raise close to 139 or 150 thereabouts billions from that process. And we have always said that we prefer that these institutions are privatized through the capital market. And in the days of, in the early days of BP, what used to be BP, we saw the
public enterprises, BP.
Yes, we saw the impact on the market, because most of them were sold, of the enterprises then were sold through the market. We think that this model that was adopted is not egalitarian enough and has not helped in deepening the market. And so we believe that the model should be changed, and we should revert to what happened in the early days of the BP, and especially at the time when we are, everyone is concerned with the depth of our market. We believe that this will deepen our market.
Yeah.
If they do.
I think I'm trying to get you clear. You prior to the BP, we had the technical committee on privatization and commercialization, headed by Ambassador Hamza Zayad.
That's
Hamza
right.
Zayad, very great technocrat who worked tirelessly to push that. But that was during the regime of General Ibrahim Babangida, who seemed to be, despite military ruler, a pro-investment friendly
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in terms of looking at engagement in the market, some analysts feel that even state governments that have a very good credit rating and a steady internally generated revenue base can take this opportunity to assess the market. Is that the same thinking that you have at this point? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, we do. We do, especially at a time like this when the IGR and even the federal allocation
the FAC allocation, yeah.
FAC allocation is dwindling. It's the best opportunity for them to raise funds for developmental purposes. It's a very great opportunity for them to do so.
Yes. In terms of leveraging technology and digital platforms to carry out your operations and provide value to investors and even your clients, how would you say ASHON has been able to ensure that its members are compliant and continue to effectively invest in digital technology?
Yeah, we going by our experience during this lockdown, and we could say that it was a good thing that our members embraced the reforms introduced by the
Stock Exchange.
Stock Exchange at the time, because it has actually helped to stabilize our operations, to keep our operations going. And we can now see it's obvious that digitalization is the way to go. And so what our members are thinking of now is how to leverage digitalization to improve the level of financial inclusion in our market. You know, we have low level of participation by the citizenry in our market. And so we're hoping that this will help, you know, to bring in a lot more people into the market.
And speaking of that, in terms of working together with the Security and Exchange Commission and all stakeholders, would you say that you have been able to push effectively investor education, considering the fact that periods like this are periods Nigerians are vulnerable to Ponzi schemes? Let me give you an example. In Lebanon, Lebanon's economy is reported to be in disarray, and part of the fuels to that the economy being in disarray in Lebanon is the fact that people fell prey to Ponzi schemes as eroded their savings and investments.
Well, yes. Even before this time, we have had some joint engagements with SEC and the exchange. You know, investor education has been on the front burner, and there's no better time to increase our advocacy around that than
it's
now.
Very important. Very important.
Yes.
We take investor education this period very important. Particularly, I would like to ask you. You know that millennials constitute the huge population in Nigeria. They are the major in terms of demography, those between 18 to 35. Are you also looking at encouraging members in terms of product development that targets them, because their investment activities is very low in terms of penetration?
Yeah, we have seen a trend where they participate in some of these digital outfits that are not necessarily regulated.
Yes.
And so that's, again, another challenge for us. And our members are really doing a lot. With what the regulators, the exchange and Securities and Exchange Commission have been doing, to bring we believe that it will be a lot easier right now for people to attract such groups, you know, because they're not used to the long process of completing forms, going around and and round. So the digitalization has helped a great deal, and we hope that we can deploy technology to attract such people. You know, if they can open their accounts online, that's all they want to do. They want to even do their trade themselves, and we see that trend emerging. We see that trend emerging, and we believe that it will augur well for our market going forward.
Definitely, it just calls for more innovation, development of apps, platforms, leveraging them to make these people, creating that awareness for them to understand the value of the market and where they can invest, because these Ponzi schemes or these unregistered digital platforms are prey that will obviously take advantage of those that don't have this awareness. And let's look at the outlook for second half of this year. We're in July. Some interesting developments we saw was that the health sector, the health segments were key drivers in the market performance for first half of the year. Not surprising, the interventions and all those activities, name it, May and Baker, EcoCorp, that wasn't surprising. But what are you seeing in the second half of this year? What are those things that would drive the market? And are we, despite the challenges, the equities market, we expect to see an IPO happen? I mean, is it not the right time and environment? And also, some analysts have said that the market will close negative, maybe around -4 points. I mean, what do you see happen in the second half of the year?
Well, obviously, the effect of this pandemic will begin to manifest in the second half, and in the operation of companies listed on the exchange. But we see value in such sectors as communications, even banking, the food and healthcare, like you mentioned, and of course, technology. We see a lot of value in those areas. And I think because the way the pandemic has affected these companies is different from the way it has affected sectors like the oil and gas, aviation, and entertainment. You know, we see value in these areas, and we can't really predict how it will end in terms of the percentage drop, but because it's really difficult if the gains in these sectors and if people begin to take advantage of the low valuation to build up their investments again. I think that towards the end of this, in the last quarter, we might see some positive development. Except, of course, we know it's been predicted that there might be some recession. That's you know, and if that happens, yes, one is being careful to talk about that. But if that happens, of course, it will affect the market. The market is a mirror of what happens in the economy, and that's
So what are your closing thoughts about the market? So what needs to be done more? ASHON's role in also driving market development in Nigeria.
Well, we will continue with our advocacy. We'll continue to engage relevant authorities, especially with the new management at SEC. We believe that they are better positioned now, you know, to engage the government. One of the areas we've been concerned with is the impact of or the almost near negligence of or the dominance of monetary policy in the management of the economy. You know, and not much attention has been paid to the capital market, as it were. And we would like this whole situation has brought to the fore the need to leverage the capital market to finance projects that otherwise should not be financed from budget. You know, that's what we've been saying. And if government will now look into the capital market, reposition the capital market to play that role, the economy will be better for it.
Yeah. Very, very true. Thank you very much, Mr. Sam Onukwue, for your insights, and particularly closing on the need for the capital market to be at the front burner of driving Nigeria's economic development and growth. Very critical. the capital market is a purveyor, it's a driver. And so we hope that that will be the case, particularly with the leadership of Mr. Lamido Yugura, Director General of the Security and Exchange Commission. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And yeah.
All
So
right.
that was Mr.
Sam Onukwue is the Vice Chairman of the Association of Securities Dealing Houses of Nigeria. They rebranded from the Association of Stockbroking Houses of Nigeria, which gives them that leverage to operate in all the exchanges. And apart from being the Vice Chairman of ASHON, Mr. Sam Onukwue is the pioneer CEO of Mega Equities Limited. He's been leading the affairs of that company since inception in 2002. So that will be all for this very interesting edition of the Market Review, and I just want to reemphasize the need for Nigerians, investors, and the populace to be wary of digital platforms and schemes that are not registered or qualified or approved by the Security and Exchange Commission. Those are schemes that are being used to rip you off of your investment and savings. Please avoid them. Go to schemes that are approved by the Security and Exchange Commission of Nigeria. You can log on to the website www.sec.gov.ng to get all those insights, and also you can log on to www.procng.com to get further insights on very reliable platforms and activities that you can invest in. Let's make this happen again tomorrow. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.